Hey book baddies, I hope you're having a great day, week, weekend, whenever you're getting around to watching this. If you've seen one of my videos in the past, welcome back. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Hides or Heidi. This is my channel all around book related content. And today I wanted to do just a little bit of goal setting for 2025. Just really kind of set my intentions for the year. And I just wanted to kind of go over some of those goals with you. So this will be really more of like kind of a yappy video more than anything else. So go ahead and get your drink of choice, coffee, tea, hot cocoa, whatever your beverage of choice is. I have a lovely black tea today. We are actually in the middle of a pretty decent snowstorm here in Ohio. Like historically speaking, like we've always gotten snow, but in the past few years, like it has been pretty sad amount of snow. So we're just kind of chilling in the house, not really doing much of anything. So I figured this would be a good time to really do some goal setting, some intention setting for 2025. It's something that I've not historically been great at setting goals, but I have been trying to get better about setting goals and intentions for like what my plan is for the upcoming year. Obviously, those goals can change throughout the year. Things come up, life happens. So I just wanted to kind of talk about my different goals that I have. I have it broken up into 5 different categories. And the first category that I'm going to speak about is going to be my book goals because, well, this is a book channel. So we have to have some book goals in mind. So a couple of the book goals that I have in mind for 2025 is I want to do more reviewing of books. I did an okay job last year of reviewing books after I finished them. I always wound up at least rating them, but I didn't always ever explain what my opinions were on, like, goodreads, StoryGraph, etc., etc. So I really wanted to do better about actually putting reviews out there to explain my feelings towards books. I think that that's a lot more effective if you're, somebody looking at reviews to see like what people's thoughts actually are. So I want to get better about actually putting reviews out there for people. Another reading goal that I have is, so I have decided to make a reading goal of 100 books for 2025. Last year I read 161 books, and it's funny because I originally set my goal for 2024 at 52 books because I didn't want to feel pressured to read and make it a chore essentially, but obviously I have the capacity to very much read quite a few books. So I wanted to go ahead and at least like put a slightly like larger goal out there that I feel like it's attainable, but I don't feel a pressure about it because a reading goal is just that, a goal. And again, life happens, and if you don't meet that goal, that's just what it is. But I think 100 books for 2025, I think is a really good place for me, especially because I'm trying to really get into some larger like high fantasy books. I'm wanting to really dive into like the Brandon Sanderson, I think it's called The Cosmere, and a lot of those are much larger books, so it's going to take a little bit longer to read through those. So that's why I'm doing 100 books. I want to also read my TBR. I have lots of books that I have purchased, got a bunch back here, and I really want to read through the books that I actually own, whether that's physical, whether that's ebooks, or whether that's audiobooks, because I do have a backlog of all 3 categories. So I really want to spend time getting through some of those books, and I guess the next goal kind of goes along with that. And I'm not going to be buying any books in Q1 of 2025, minus a couple of exceptions. Those exceptions are going to be any book club books that, like the book club that I'm in is going to be reading that I don't already own. Obviously, I'm participating in a book club. I have to have the book. Any pre-orders that I've already had like ordered, which I only have, I think maybe 5 pre-orders or 6 pre-orders for like quarter 1. So it's not even a ton. So I'm pretty happy that I don't have a ton of pre-orders out there. And then I'm also looking at continuing my Fairy Loot subscription through this no buy. I found out, so I actually paused all of my special edition subscriptions for January, and I'm going to continue doing that for the first quarter. I found out though, Fairy Loot, they only allow you to skip your subscription, I believe, 3 or 4 times, which I have mixed feelings on in general. Like, I get it from a business standpoint, but also I don't know. I have a lot of feelings about that in general. So I'm going to continue with my Fairy Loot subscription currently. And we'll see how I feel going a little bit further into the future with that. So those are some of my like no book buying goals. And then I'm also going to be evaluating books that I'm purchasing, and really focusing on special edition books, because I've purchased a lot of special edition books over within 2024, and I have 5 special edition book subscriptions that I'm currently subscribed to. And I really want to sit down and evaluate if I actually value having special edition books. One, if I feel like the subscription services are actually worth it. Like, am I actually enjoying the books that I'm getting through the subscription services? So that's why I also want to pause it, so that I have some time to read through some of the books that I've gotten through the subscription services, to see if I actually enjoy the books that they're sending me. Because if I'm spending more money on a special edition book and I don't like the book selections that they're making, there's no point of spending money on that subscription service. So I'm really going to be evaluating if I'm going to continue with special edition books into 2025. Probably more to come on that later as I'm reading through more of my books and as I'm really evaluating how I feel about special edition books in general. And then my last reading goal is going to be reading more ARC reads, which, if you don't know what an ARC read is, that is an advanced reader's copy. And basically, authors, prior to them publishing books, has a whole team of individuals that will go in and read the book prior to it being published. This allows them to see what people's thoughts are, see if there's spelling errors, grammar errors, see if there's improvements that can be made prior to the release of the book based upon the feedback. I did a couple of those in 2024, and I'd really like to try to pick up a couple more of those in 2025, because I really have enjoyed that experience. So that is something that I'm going to try to put a little bit more focus on in 2025, if I have the ability and the time to do it. Because with ARC reads, you get the book, you usually get ebook version of it, and you have like a time frame that you have to read the book within, and then get a review out prior to the book release. So it's also going to be a timing thing, like what books I think are going to be up my alley, and then if I'm going to feasibly be able to read it within the time frame that the author needs the ARC read to be done. So those are some of my book goals for 2025. I think for me, they're all pretty attainable goals, and they're things that I really want to put focus on and really reevaluate what I'm reading, the books that I'm purchasing, and how I'm purchasing the books as well. Again, through subscription services. Am I going to try to start doing more? Like, I buy secondhand books, but am I going to start doing even more secondhand shopping? So we'll see. Those are just some of where I am right now and just some of my thoughts around book goals. Let me take a drink real quick. So some other personal goals that I have outside of books, if you're interested at all in knowing, one of the next category is health and wellness. So I started doing Pilates in October, I believe, of 2024, and I've been pretty regularly going 3 days a week. to classes, and I want to try to continue doing 3 classes a week. If I can squeeze in more, great, but my goal right now is 3 days a week because I feel like that's a really attainable exercise goal for me. I think it really works on my schedule, and I just want to continue with exercising and trying to make sure that I'm really giving my body what it needs, because I'll be honest with you, I have always been historically really terrible about exercising. But I feel like ever since I've joined Pilates, it's something that I truly enjoy doing. And I feel like it's something that I've stayed consistent with for about 3 months now. And I think that I can continue to stay really consistent with into the future because it is something that I really enjoy. So again, 3 days a week, hopefully, with Pilates. Also, I've always been pretty good about eating pretty healthy and pretty like nutrient filled foods. But, I go through waves where I do really, really well on eating healthy, nutrient dense foods and meals. And then I go through waves where I'm all I'm eating is bags of pretzels. So I really want to be more consistent with eating nutritionally dense meals. And my goal is to try to eat at least 2 nutritional meals a day. Will that happen every single day of the year? No, I'm realistic that's probably not going to happen if I'm sick, if I'm busy. But if I can try to do at least 2 nutritionally dense meals almost every day, so maybe 5-6 days out of the week, I feel like that's something that is hopefully attainable for me. So I really am just trying to be better about actually adding the nutrients back into my body that I need, especially now that I am actually exercising consistently. I have to obviously refuel my body from the energy that working out is taking from me. So that's some of my more health goals. I mean, health/wellness goals for physical health. So some of the mental health things that I want to either continue doing or add to my routine is I want to continue therapy. So I started therapy back at the end of 2023, and I've been consistently going to therapy through 2024, and I want to continue that. I've noticed a lot of huge improvements and changes in my life because I've been going to therapy, and that's something that I want to continue doing and trying to do in theory on a weekly basis, because that's my goal, is to try to go to a therapy session once a week. And I've improved a lot mental health wise because of it, and I'm working through a lot of my own personal things through therapy. So it's been great. I've learned a lot about myself. I've improved a lot of areas, and I know that there's definitely more areas to improve through therapy. One thing that I want to start doing this year is journaling. I've tried to do journaling in the past, and I've never really been consistent with it. So I'm really going to try to implement journaling because I know that it's really good for your mental health, and I know it's really good to get your thoughts on paper. I'm going to be realistic with myself, and I'm going to try to say I'm going to journal 3 to 4 times a week because I am aware that I'm not great and I've never been consistent with journaling. So I'm going to try to implement that and maybe start making that part of my routine. So we'll see how that goes. Another thing that I really want to start doing is stretching at least 5 days a week. Stretching is very, very good for your body. It keeps you flexible. There's a bunch of stuff that goes in your body when you're stretching. I don't know all of the health things, obviously, with stretching, but I know that it's very good for you. So I really want to try to stretch at least 5 days a week, just so that I can keep some flexibility up, so that I'm, getting some of the tension and tense muscles relaxed a little bit. So that's one goal. And then my last health wellness goal is I want to be outside more in 2025. I think I do an okay-ish job getting outside, but it's something where I really want to spend more time like either hiking, just sitting outside and reading, taking the dogs on a walk, playing with the dogs, anything along those lines, to just get outside more than I did in 2024. I feel like historically I've always been really good about being outside, taking the dogs on a walk, enjoying nature. 2023, 2024, actually I feel like for the past couple of years, I think since about the time I got my house, I've not been going out as much as I probably should. So that's one of my goals. I don't know what I have in mind specifically for that. I don't know if I'm going to try to have like a certain amount per week. The weather here is always so touch and go. So I think it's just going to depend really upon like what the weather looks like. But I do want to try to get out more in 2025. So we'll see how that goes. So that was my health and wellness goals for 2025. I'm gonna take another drink. And my next category is, so friends, family, community. And I want to set up more intentional time. Like I want to set more intentional time aside for friends, family, because I feel like life always gets away from us in the days, like weeks, months, just kind of like skirt by, and you're like, wow, how did we already get through like the month of January? How did we already get through all of December? So I'd really like to try to set more intentional time aside for the people in my life that I really care for. So I don't know what that looks like entirely at this point, but I do know that that's something that I really want to put more effort into. One thing that, I think I got a hair on my face, sorry. Ugh, that's very annoying. One thing that I want to also do is trying to be more open to the people that I care about. One thing that I've learned about myself is the fact that I'm a pretty closed off person in general. I've always been like that. So I'd like to just be more open and more vulnerable with the people in my life. That's going to be a struggle for me personally, but I'm going to try to intentionally do that going into 2025. We will see how well that I do, but it's something where I've talked to my therapist about it. So hopefully with some help from my therapist, I'll be able to be better about that going into this new year. And another thing that I really want to do is try to have more community involvement. I feel like the times that I've worked with like the little free libraries has been a little bit of community involvement because it's obviously donating books to the community, but I would like to do even more with community involvement. I'm not entirely sure what direction I want to go with on that. I do like, different volunteer work and things like that, but I really want to get even more involved with like the community and try to like help do community building and volunteer my time to do community like outreach, because I think that's really important. And I think that we need to always try to find ways to not only build ourselves up, but the people around us, and that includes our community. So I am going to try to start putting more intentions into community building and community service into 2025. So that was friends and community. I also have some goals for my like social media. I'm still going to try to always have one long form YouTube like video out a week going into 2025. If I can sneak some more in, that'd be great. But I know that with my schedule and everything else that I'm like always doing, one video I know so far since I've had this channel has been an attainable goal, and I want to continue with that goal going into this year. I want to try to actually utilize the YouTube community tab a little bit more. I post a couple times in 2024, but I'd really like to try to start getting some more stuff out there. Maybe try to do like maybe a post a week on the community tab. I don't know what that's going to look like or how I'm going to utilize that, but I definitely want to get a little bit more involved with community building on YouTube. So that's kind of some of my YouTube goals. And then I also have my Bookstagram, or Instagram for books. If you haven't followed me on that, go ahead. The link is down below. But I would like to continue staying consistent with that. I wanted to do 3+ posts a week on my Instagram. When I first started it, I was trying to do a post a day. And I realized pretty quickly with my full-time job, with the YouTube, with my family, with my house and other responsibilities, a post a day on my Instagram was not something attainable for me, and it was burning me out essentially. And I do my YouTube and my Instagram for fun and as a hobby, and I want to continue to enjoy it. And I feel like if I try to continue at doing a 1 post a day, it's just going to like burn me out. And that's again what was happening last year when I was trying to do that. So I feel like 3+ posts a week feels much more attainable for me. If I have weeks where I'm posting every single day, great. So, and that might be it. I might just have a really great week and I'll have tons of like content to throw out there. But I'm trying to, again, be gentle on my goals so that I don't create burnout around all of the things I've got going on in my life. So those are all of my social media goals for 2025. And then I have just some personal goals for 2025. One of those is I'm trying to work on my personal financing. I always try to work on personal finance. I'm always trying to improve my personal finance, my budgeting, my spending habits. So just continuing to improve in areas that I recognize I could improve in. I'm actually trying to learn a second language. I've always wanted to learn a second language. Unfortunately, with my ADHD and dyslexia, it's always been a huge hurdle for me to try to jump over. But I'm really wanting to set the intention this year to try to learn a second language, or learn more of a second language. And me and one of my friends are actually doing this together. And so since there's going to be 2 of us, the 2 of us talked about it, and we're actually going to be learning French together. And we eventually want to be able to go to France and, be able to speak to people. I think that'll be a lot of fun. And I've actually started using the app Duolingo, and I think I've done 5 days straight so far. I know because of some of my own, with my ADHD as well as my dyslexia, learning another language is going to be a lot longer of a process for me than probably a lot of other people. So I'm trying to be very patient with myself, and I'm trying to really very slowly build my knowledge of another language. But this is something that I've always really wanted to do, and I've always felt like never was going to be an attainable thing for me, but I'm going to give it another go and see what happens. I'm actually also going to start using a habit tracker more consistently this year, which I have this beautiful one. It's floating around here somewhere. It's the one Illumicrate actually sent me in one of my boxes, and it's really, really great because it's a weekly tracker. And the old habit tracker and planner that I used to have was a daily tracker. And I feel like a daily tracker is too much for me personally. It's like there's too much that you have to fill out constantly, but the weekly feels more attainable. So we're going to try the weekly tracker. It's like a to-do list. It's got a habit tracker on it. It's got like a little calendar situation on it. So I'm really hoping that that's going to be more attainable for me going into this year. So we'll see how that goes. And then last but not least on personal goals is I'm trying to go into 2025 and use items I already own prior to buying new items. That's everything from journals or notebooks to food items to clothing items to anything along those lines. I know that we are not always the best about evaluating things that we already have in our house before buying new things, and then we're like, oh, we already had this particular item. So I'm really going to go into this year and be like, do we have this item? Do we need to buy another one? no, yes or no, and then really trying to use up any extras in our house before buying new things, which I think will help with a little bit of anxiety of having extra stuff around the house. It'll help with financing because I won't be buying things that we truly don't need. And then I know that I'll just overall feel better about actually utilizing the things that we own. So those are some of my personal goals for 2025. Those are my intentions for 2025. I hope that if you do any goals or intention settings for, a new year, that maybe some of these can be utilized for you and maybe, can be something that you can implement in your own goal setting. If you have tried any of these things, let me know if they work for you, if they didn't work for you. If you have some goals set up for this coming year, let me know. I love to hear what other people are trying to accomplish in 2025. But I hope you enjoyed the content. I hope this helped you if you're trying to set some intentions for 2025 to be able to get those intentions set. And I hope to see you in the next video. Love you guys. Bye.